Oh Linndrum, Linndrum, where art thou, Linndrum? Deny thy quantize and refuse thy snare, or thou will not sink via midi. Be but my love, and I'll no longer caress thou knobs via my fingers. Let's have a look at what is going on with all of this Linndrum, shall we? So this Linndrum isn't in the finest of conditions. I got it very cheap and it was broken, and I sort of replaced bits until it started working, but needless to say there's a lot of things still wrong with it, which is sad, but it doesn't mean that we can't look at it and see what a Linndrum does. So we're going to start at the main bit, which is this massive circuit board right here. Look at that, ginormous. What is going on here? Well, this part is actually in charge. Oh, I got them. Oh, hey, watch your washers. This is the big circuit board. This circuit board sits on the bottom of the whole thing, and what this thing is in charge of is all of the sounds basically, and some of the power filtering and regulation. So it's got the mains power on there, and that goes into a nice big old thingamajiggy capacitor thing, and some regulators and all that jizz jazz are on here. And then we go over and you see all of the separate outputs for the audio. Lovely. You'll see there's a long line of little chips at the bottom. Well, actually quite big chips. These fat things with little glass holes in them are actually the EPROMs. Every single sound on this Linndrum is on a separate chip. Some of them are stretched over long chips. You can only have a little bit of sound on each of these chips because it's 1982 and there's not much memory. So things like the crash, which is quite a long sound, it lasts for maybe a second or even longer, is actually spread out on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different chips. So that means that these sounds, what happens is it goes for the first sound chip and then it flips over to the next one and the next one and the next one seamlessly, and you don't even realise. These are all just little sound bites that are all being selected by these chips above. And what these things are, they are 4-stage binary counters, I think, I can't remember. And what these are doing is they are selecting and addressing the different kind of chunks of sound, memory and voltages inside these chips, and then it runs through them until it gets to the end of the sound, and then it says stop, I haven't got any more, and it all stops and starts again. It's quite interesting how it does it. You should check it out, it's very interesting. This single knob right here is the thing that controls the global kind of pitch of it all, because it's at the actual clock speed of how these sound little nuggets are being addressed and played. This is different to the original LM1, which was actually a big one that had separate clocks for each sound, so you could control the pitches of them differently. However, the snare has a separate clock, but the rest of it, if you want to adjust the pitch of everything, you just twist that and it goes all slow. So that is the soundboard. It's just all selected and got the audio out. It's got a filter on the output. Yeah, it's pretty funky and it's massive. Ooh, look at all that green. Just amazing. Oh yeah, and another thing to note about these EPROMs is they all have little dots on the top, and how they get erased, because you can rewrite things onto them, is you shine ultraviolet light into these little circles and it erases the memory of the chips. The funny thing is, over a long period of time, daylight can actually erase them, so usually they're covered up, but for some reason in this, they're not. Right, so next one. Here we go. This one actually was pulled from the front of this, and it looks pretty swanky. So this one's actually the brains behind the beast. Oh, yeah. And what this has it's got this chip right there. Look at that chip. And what this chip is it's called the Z80. And it's actually the same brains as you'd find in a Game Boy. Fancy that. So this is like a big fancy Game Boy. This was very popular in the 80s to be used on computers and, you know, lots of instruments. And on the other side, we've actually got all of these switches and buttons that have been soldered straight into the board. So if you hit them too hard, you're going to break the PCB. It's like Rolf Harris. It's not really like Rolf Harris. Rolf Harris? Rolf Harris. There's also the screens that tell you kind of what pattern you're playing, and there's the clock tempo and all of that stuff. So that's that board. Ooh, Connected to this board, because I have modified this to take MIDI, is this DTRONICS MIDI converter, which basically just means that you can select all the sounds via MIDI. It's pretty funky. I had to snip this off because I didn't have the connections. But yeah, we go over to this bit. Ooh, another replacement, another new old stock thing. This is where the batteries are held for the memory, to keep the memory remembering what you want to play. Like, let's say when Prince wanted to use his Linndrum, and he was like, oh yeah, really, I'd forgotten the pattern. Imagine him being angry and be like, I've forgotten the pattern, I'm not playing this song anymore. And then he walks up into his ivory castle. I don't know. But yeah, so this is a new thing as well, DTRONICS, because mine was all corroded. And then it goes over to this thing, which is the mixer board. And this one mixes all the audio, so you can choose how loud you want the separate drum sounds and the pan of where they are. And on top, there's a couple of knobs that are adjusting the pitch and clock speeds of the snare and the hi-hat decay and stuff like that, and the overall volume. So that's a pretty funky board. It's quite heavy actually. This one I think it was a sort of in a prototype kind of phase, because this Linndrum is actually serial number 3. 003. Look at that. I don't know whether that's genuine, but I guess it must be. But that means that some of these things are probably quite in their infancy of design, maybe, because this was in the first batch of boards. I mean, even though there's a circuit board somewhere that says like 600. But anyway, this one hasn't even got a silk screen, so it's still like just bare. Yeah, these things are humongously heavy. I'm just amazed by how big they are. But this bit of metal is just like loads of holes punched and then it's been bent around, and this is the front panel. It's still got a load of mounting screws in it and stuff. I didn't take those off because they've actually been welded onto the piece of metal. And there's actually a lens here. This bit that's glued there is the lens for the screens, the 8-segment displays. They go into that bit. Oh, this one you're allowed to open if you aren't a supervised person, because it doesn't say warning, don't do it because you'll get electrocuted. It says just do it. So that's that bit. And then this is the base plate. This is heavy as well. Whew. So this base plate is yet again another just a bit of metal that's been bent a load of times. It's got a hinge on the back, and that's where the actual power transformer is, where it's choosing where all the voltages are and stuff like that. But you know, there's not much to see there. It just looks like a baking tray as usual. You could probably cook cakes on this and stuff. And what do we got here? The wood sides. The lovely wood sides. This kind of machine suits wood sides, I think. There's some that don't, like the MS-10, but this one really suits it. And yeah, I think we should put this back together, because it's not going to be very much use if it wasn't put back together. So let's get going. It's too hot. I've got to take this off before I start, because this is going to get serious. Really serious. So the Linndrum came out in 1982, which is the same year that Michael Jackson's Thriller came out. And what else was there? Oh yeah, Argentina invaded the Falklands, 1982. But also another very important piece of culture, of popular culture, that was released that year were these were actually released in 1982 as well. Fisher-Price tape cassettes, same year. Who would have thought, eh? It would be awesome if you could make like a 24-track recorder just out of these things. So I best go on the hunt for more of these. This thing sadly isn't as easy to put back together as the MS-10. Actually, it's pretty easy. It's all on one board. But this one's seen better days. All of it is just like bolts, like little bolts to just bolt it all in. So I'm literally just gonna bolt it back together, like so. I'm just gonna hand tighten them right now, because I have a feeling I'm gonna take this apart just after, because I haven't realised how bad a condition some of this stuff is. I'm gonna have to, you know, give it a good look in. But right now we're gonna put it back together for the purpose of entertainment. Entertainment value. So, like, who used the Linndrum? Well, the LM1, the one before, the really fancy one that's amazing and old and crazy, and this one's just as amazing, but you know, not as big and as expensive, was used by like the Human League and Prince and stuff. Who actually used the Linndrum? Quick, internet, tell me. Oh yeah, nice plastic connectors, they're beautiful. Just put it there. And then we pop this other circuit board because there's loads of green PCBs everywhere. Just pop it back together as we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The Linndrum, the LM1, which is the one that was before this, I think was actually the first digitally sampled drum machine, right? Roger Linn came up with the idea of making real drum sounds come out of a drum machine, I think. I might be wrong, I might be forgetting somebody, but it's pretty amazing. He was definitely pioneering this stuff, and there's actual real samples of different drums inside these EPROMs, which you can literally just take out and put different ones in. There were expansions where you just removed these EPROMs and you put different sounds in. I've tried to program my own, but I haven't done any nice sounding ones, so I've just kept with the originals because the original Linndrum, I think, sounds amazing. So yeah, anyway, let's keep on popping this stuff back there. That bit's done. Oh no, it isn't. Time to put these wood sides back on. I don't know what this is. It's wood. I just realised, oh no. I can't actually put the wooden sides back on without removing this. Balls! Yeah! Right, now that it's done. So that's the base plate of it all put together. Now I'm gonna bolt the actual front bit to the hinge. Ugh. These things are bloody annoying to put together, but I love them so. Fudge! Something tells me that these were all manufactured in the US of A. Manufactured, homegrown in the US of A. So the drum samples that are in here are actually played by a drummer called Art Wood. And he's like a session musician who was mates with Captain Roger Linn, the guy that made this, you know, Linndrum. Yeah, and oh man, that's pretty cool. Imagine being a drummer that is like hired to kill other drummers' careers. That's nuts. Actually, put that back. Art Wood was on the LM1. We don't know if that was the same samples or whatnot. Who knows? Who actually played the drums in this machine? Let me know if anybody knows. Hey, how you do? Play your chart-topping songs on me. So yeah, this is the drummer career killer, basically. The beginning of the end. Oh dear. Oh, that's... Oh, I think I should have put this one on for... Oh no, it's gonna work. Hey! Ow, my finger. Look at that. Oh, just fits like a glove. In one. Boom. Look at that. I put it back together. Oh no. Look at that. I put it back together. Yeah. It's looking good in there. There's a few random bits, but oh. Tell you what, I forgot. These things. Very, very functional knobs. Healthy, good, healthy working knobs. And I just pop them back on like this. And then finally, there's these bits. They're like little socks that go on the faders. You could call them fader condoms. I got the Linndrum. It's a little bit, takes a while to work out whether it wants to work or not. Sometimes. It's not working now. Ah, come on. Come on, work. Okay, the Linndrum's doing a funny. Sometimes this Linndrum doesn't want to play ball, so just got to give it a moment to decide it wants to be alive. Right, so the Linndrum's alive now, finally. So I've got some pedals here that it's going to be plugged into. Okay, so we've got the pedals and we got the Linndrum. So if you don't know what the Linndrum sounds like, it sounds like this. You've got a lovely kick. Oh, it sounds like the 80s right there. Yeah, even though that wasn't actually on that was on a Oberheim DX, I think, DMX. Have you got a snare? Side stick, which isn't actually a side stick. I actually put a different EEPROM in there. I think I programmed a random thing that went... I don't know what that is. Might have been a vocal. Crash. Lovely. Oh yeah. What about a ride? I'm Jersey, what can you say? Got the clap. Everybody's got the clap. It's a pretty low and frumpy cowbell, right? That was played by somebody more than 35 years ago. But yeah, anyway, you get the gist of what it sounds like. It sounds like a fake drum machine, but it's real. That's the whole thing. We've already got the stems from this in the church, because I did this in the church. I played this in the church and gave the dry samples as well. But you can have the dry samples, again, they're on the Patreon and stuff, so that's already there. You can download it. I think it's public to even get these samples. But I'm just going to make another sample pack with a couple of pedals and just see what goes on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this little crappy drum beat. Oh, that's nice. And then whack on the big one. Yeah. And then bring the hi-hat. It's a bit out of time. Oh my god, this is a gnarly thing. For some reason I can't seem to get it playing time as it should sound with a Linndrum, but these lovely pedals seem to make it sound like it's noisy anyway, so it doesn't matter. This is the modern age. This is what it should be used for, making unusable noises. And are you ready? It's gonna go. It's the pre-chorus, wait for the chorus. It's like, I feel love, baby. Love, baby. Feel love, baby. Oh, I stopped it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do a load of samples of all the separate drum sounds into these pedals, and then I'm gonna make that sample library available on my Patreon. So you can go onto it and download all of these samples and do whatever the heck you want with it. So go and check that out on the Patreon. Last week there was the MS-10 as well, and those samples are up there as well. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. I've been Luke, my computer. This has been the Linndrum, and what a beautiful machine it is. Don't be scared to try it. Show me what you've done with the samples. Don't be shy, because if it's a decent song, it might get in the background of these videos, and I'll put a link to it on the description below. So yeah, send them away to my email, which is on my website, link below. Anyway, peace, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.